the voice in your ears, and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is Pro Football Sweden. Today, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jallo Juice and Antoine Allen. What's going on, fellas?
Was good.
What's up, baby?
All right. So, thanks to our partners at American Football in Finland, Improve Athletes, and Pro Football Sweden, PFS Podcast is available everywhere you get your podcast. And visually, you can see us here on our YouTube channel. Wherever you listen or watch, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. And now let's get into some football. All right, 1st and 10. We get a moment to kind of talk about anything we want to get off our chest or something we want you guys to know about us. Jallo, what's going on with you, man?
What's up, everybody? I am excited. I had a great weekend off from football, and off week, we need these things, but I'm excited for my week coming up. I have my semifinals championship game in Spain, and I'm excited for that. And family good, my health is good, so got nothing to complain about. That's all that's going on in my life.
Antoine, what's up with you, man?
Nothing much, man. Just coming off our first our season opener this past weekend. We took a 1-point L, but your boy played good, so and we showed some positives. So it's a lot to look forward to for the rest of the season. I don't think we're gonna lose again this season. Once we fix special teams.
It's the celebrations for me, bro. I saw it online. It's the celebrations for me. I love it. What y'all do? The Spider-Man in the end zone?
Yeah,
I loved it. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the celebrations and the actions.
But we got humble though. We got humble, so it's all good.
See, you're better than me because I tell people all the time. It was a long time ago when I used to play, but I was not a great teammate. I was that dude that on kickoff return, I tell the other returner, look, if you get the ball, I'm not blocking, bro. Like, I'm not. It's not what I do. If I get the ball, you ain't got to block. I can handle this. But don't expect me to be going out my way to block for you. Like, that's not what I do. Like, I don't do that. When I play the receiver, I tell people all the time, you running this way with the ball, don't expect no crackback from me. It's not my thing. It's just not me. I'm not that guy. I was a horrible teammate. But I also was dude that when I had the ball, I just said, get out of my way. Don't block nobody. I got this. Like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt about it. Like, I wasn't that guy. But also, I was a smaller guy. So, I can't just be putting my life out there. Like, all it takes is one wrong hit. When I was in college, I sprained both my ankles at the same time by getting pushed out of bounds. Like, I was a small guy.
If you're a young athlete listening to this, do not take any notes from it.
Do not be me. No. I would never tell you to be like me, because you know what? You could never be me. Okay? That's what I would say. What I did was way back in the day when you could be selfish like that and nobody really had a problem because I was able to, shine when I needed to. But I love how you guys do it, how y'all, do it all together. That's what's awesome. I wasn't that guy. Some people would lie and say that they were that type of guy. I wasn't. But that's 1st and 10. I ain't got nothing going on with me. Let's get into the show. All right, we're going to go inside the numbers, brought to you by Rayer Athletics, apparel and accessories made for players by players. More than just accessories, Rayer provides custom jerseys for teams all over Europe. So head on over to their web shop at rayer.se and upgrade your drip today. The first week of the Super Serien was not the first week. This is the 2nd week, sorry. I keep forgetting because I feel like everybody didn't play in the first week. But this is the 2nd week. So now we got 2 weeks of stats. And we're going to kind of go over some of the stats leaders in the Super Serien. First off, we got total offense, Carlstad Crusaders. They only played one game, but they had 471 yards. So they're the league leaders right now. Passing offense, Black Knights, who are averaging 311 yards per game in the first 2 weeks. Rushing team leaders, Carlstad Crusaders again, 207 yards rushing. That still would be the most, even if they did play in week 1. Total defense, Carlstad Crusaders, 210 yards. They held their opponents to 210 yards. Before we get into individual player stuff, you guys want to say anything specifically about these stat leaders team-wise?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Carlstad this week. They managed to spread the ball, get the ball in different playmakers' hands. That was good to see in the opening week. And Black Knights, these are only two teams that are leaders. Trevor Casey, he's doing an amazing job, scrambling in the backfield, playing backyard football and throwing the ball up. And it was very impressive to do it this week because it was raining, and they still managed to put up numbers.
If the Black Knights are going to do one thing, is throw the ball. Basically, he's averaging 40 plus passing attempts per game so far. So they're going to rain, snow, shine, it don't matter. They're going to throw the ball.
Are you guys surprised that Stockholm isn't a leader at all on offense right now?
I'm not surprised. I think you got to look at the games that Stockholm plays. A lot of times they're going half the field on offense, so you can't get a lot of yards. These stats are yards, not points.
Yeah.
And then defensively, they're holding teams like 300 yards, and they play bend but don't break defense. They create turnovers at the right point. They don't let you score points. So their offense isn't really statistically set up for what we're talking about because we're talking yards. Their offense and defense is really based up for scores and not scores, which is a little more simple of a game.
Out of the teams that's played 2 games, they are leading those teams in total yards. Out of the teams that's played more than 1 game. So, and they're averaging 383 yards per game. So that's still decent.
Yeah, they're not giving up a ton. It's just they played 2 games, and like I said, they're stopping scores and they're making sure they score. That's still a recipe to success. Let's go into the individual players now. We'll go offense first. Passing leaders first is Trevor Vasey from OBK, 623 yards. Second is Matteo Renteria from Stockholm Mean Machines, 457 yards. Third is CJ Fowler from Oslo Vikings, 354 yards passing. Rushing leaders, leading the pack is Casper Wedberg from Stockholm Mean Machines, 125 yards. Behind him, actually tied with him, is Young Kennedy from Carlstad Crusaders, who also has 125 yards in just 1 game. Let's just remember, just 1 game. And then also we got Double V with 111 rushing yards from Tyresö, also just 1 game. Receiving leaders, I'm never going to get my guy name right from OBK, Anton Inkvist, 150 yards. He's not the leader. Sorry, he's the second guy. First guy would be Elliot Hammer from OBK. He has 162 yards. And then Matt Resloff is third from Stockholm Mean Machines with 130 yards. So let's talk a little bit about some of these guys, as well as if there's any other guys who are close to this list on the offensive side that you've seen play great so far. I guess I'll lead it off. It's no problem for me to lead it off. I'll talk about who we've already talked about, Trevor Vasey. His 40-plus attempts, obviously he's going to get yards. What's really unique is who he's getting the yards to. Before the season, we talked about Johannes Lindis, like he's going to be that guy. And honestly, he hasn't really been that guy in the first 2 weeks for them. But that hasn't stopped Vasey from being able to connect with Anton and Elliot Hammer, the other 2 guys from OBK, which I don't know which one is which number. But I know there's number 6 and number 14.
Yeah.
And they both did really good in both the games so far, and they're showing that, they're going to be legitimate resources for Vasey. But again, I do feel like they're missing a little bit of that explosion that they're going to need to really make a dent in the playoffs once they start playing difficult competition. But I really do like Trevor Vasey to probably end up leading the league in passing because, like you said, he's throwing 40-plus a game. So, it's just easy. Antoine, what do you got?
Like you said, I like what Vasey's doing. Obviously, they trust him a lot to allow him to get 40-plus passing attempts per game. He's finding multiple receivers from Anton to Elliott to Eric Murphy. He's just spreading the ball around. I think the difference between this week's game and last week's game is that he had more time to actually sit back in the pocket and actually find his guys. And even in the rainy conditions or the wet conditions, players were still catching the ball and making a difference on that side of the ball. And then I want to talk about Matteo Renteria. he's in a position where he doesn't really have to do anything but play a clean game. And in these first 2 games, he's played extremely clean. I think he's throwing at about 70% for the season so far. And he's just making all the right plays. He's making the right reads, and he's getting the ball to players who are going to make plays. And his stats don't wow you, but he's very efficient, and he gets the job done for sure.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of first what Purvis was mentioned about, Vasey and not connecting with Johannes, because I was very disappointed in this past game because Johannes was actually beating the receivers deep and they just did not connect. I think I counted maybe 3 times on the deep passes, and I'll give some grace because it was raining in this game. However, I seen another one of these in the first game when they played against Stockholm. Another thing to mention as well is that I was saying, like, I don't know how long this is going to hold up versus Stockholm when Trevor Vasey was playing backyard football, just scrambling around and getting people, finding people. But, man, it looked so good in this past game when he was doing that. And shout out to my boy Eric Murphy. He was going to play, but he had this little toe tap, little run down the sideline. I was like, hold on, I got to see this replay, make sure he got all his foot in it, because you never know when these referees out here, they be calling anything out of bounds. Because I swear I had some moments like this, like, bro, they called me out. And he looked smooth doing that. Catching slant. He was the MVP on the offense, He looked like he was their best playmaker on the offense this past week. Eric Murphy. I think he at least had 2 touchdowns. And to mention this, I think he got robbed on a touchdown with the ball between his legs,
Yeah. The ball was there. He never let go of it. That's a touchdown. You're right, 100%.
I think he got robbed. Then CJ Fowler, man, I think he can have more stats if his receivers would catch the ball.
Right?
I'm glad you brought that up. That's why I turned the game out. It's like, if you can't catch with gloves on, take your gloves off. Like number 3 had his gloves off. Matthew Snotter, he had his gloves off. So it's just like, at some point, you got to make plays for your quarterback. It has to be a thing. And I know it's hard. The ball's wet, but catch the ball, man. Sometimes he was hitting them in the body. The ball's flying. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Come on, man.
I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate about that. I'm glad we're talking about this because I was able to look at my notes that I forgot all about. One thing I did notice, though, is, they had a lot of drops, but also there was a lot of errant passes from him as well. There's a lot of plays where the ball just was a little bit too much this way or that way. When he threw the interception, the ball was high when he was throwing to his running back, and his running back reached up and tipped it. And it's like, that's on the running back for touching it, but why not hit him in the chest? Oh, yeah, because if you hit him in the chest, he might drop it anyways. So it's like, what you going to do? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. When he had good throws, they didn't catch it. When they had good routes, sometimes he didn't necessarily connect with them. I think overall the Vikings just weren't in sync with the passing group in this game. I wouldn't blame the receivers per se, but obviously you got to catch the ball. But in the first game, they had the same situation. They had a lot of drops. It's just kind of what they do. They're not that great at receiving, or I don't know. I don't know how else to say that.
Another thing I would add for Oslo, I really would like to see them getting the ball in number 3 hands more, and number 2. I think that will help their offense out a lot more. Take my notes.
Americans.
I see them open low key in the game, at least number 3. I can't speak too much for number 2. I just like when number 2 had the ball in his hands, he looked like he can get busy. But number 3 is open. Get him the ball.
Yeah.
But Stockholm, of course, offensively, they're not on the leading board because we only just doing the top of this, but they doing a good job spreading the ball, running. They mixing in all their running backs, and it's like, of course,
everybody.
They got 3 deep.
3 deep. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to share your stats with all of them. Oh, you got great receivers. I'm running back. I'm like, man, line me up a receiver.
Look at the stats, though, for Mean Machines. I don't know if anybody knows it, but their running backs had 8 carries, 8 carries, 8 carries. All 3 of them had 8 carries. One of them had 55 yards. One of them had 54 yards. One of them had 43 yards. One of them had 2 touchdowns. One of them had 1 touchdown. One of them had no touchdowns. And that's me just memorizing stats off the top of my head. I remember looking at their stat line and be like, damn, that's parity. That is scary as hell. I don't care what you say. That's scary as hell. They can just rotate guys in there. 26, 29, 30. You're going to get this work, and you're going to have to see them. But to throw out another name, Casper Wedberg. The difference in him at running back is he's also in the receiving game. He had 50-something yards receiving and 50-something yards rushing. So had over 100 yards all-purpose. I want to say he's leading the league in all-purpose yards right now.
Yeah, he is.
With 270. Yeah. So they've made sure that he's been able to be involved in all aspects of the game. So that's really unique for them. But that's why, obviously, we're not talking about the Mean Machines like individually, statistically at the top, but they have so much talent spread out. Like this last week, my boy Robin Miranda, who I told y'all he was going to be about it eventually.
Yeah.
What, he had like 3 touchdowns in this game?
They took one of his away. But
they took one of them away. And Robin's my guy. He's one of the guys I love the most from Mean Machines. But that gritty needs.
I was about to mention that thing.
Boy.
He's doing it on purpose. It's intentional. He knows how to do the right gritty. He's doing it the ugly gritty.
Oh, boy. I wrote it on my notes. Great catch. What the hell with the gritty? And I wrote on my notes. Another good catch. Why you didn't fix a gritty? Like, even
when he got the MVP award, he did the ugly gritty. And the commentator like, there goes that ugly dance. And that commentator, well, he was something else. I like him though.
Any last thoughts on the offensive leaders? Anything y'all want to get out from the offensive from last week?
Offensively, I love that Carlstad. I still think he's a quarterback, but my boy Alvin Forsman, he was getting busy at receiver. I was proud to see that, because I still respect him as a quarterback. And I prayed that he can get an opportunity somewhere else to play quarterback in the future. But he was getting busy. They had number 4. I think he might be an import. They got the ball on him. And
his name is Von Company.
Yeah.
Now we know who all the imports and who the playmakers, at least by this week. And last thing I'll mention is young Kennedy. I believe he's from the South. Matter of fact, I don't know for sure if I knew his brother a little bit more, but it was a Kennedy name from Skona. Mentioned that he's not D's kid, just got the Kennedy last name. He was getting busy. He was getting busy this game.
Well, he had 9 attempts, 128, 2 touchdowns, average 13.9 yards average per carry.
Hey, if we throwing out applauses for some of the guys from Carlstad, don't forget about my boy Christian Nautanen, number 11, was out there.
Yeah,
6 receptions, 79 yards, sliding touchdown.
That was a great
with it. Yeah,
that was a great adjustment.
Yeah, he's a great player. All right, I think we went over offense enough. Let's slide to the defensive side, guys. Tackle leaders in the Super Serien so far. William Saul from the Oslo Vikings, 15 tackles. Matthias Eriksson from Carlstad Crusaders, 9 tackles. Adam Weston from the Mean Machines, 8.5 tackles. Marcus from Tyresö, 8.5 tackles. Sacks leaders, we got Lucas Hedberg from Carlstad Crusaders with 2.5. Sebastian Nilsson from OBK with 2.5. And Sebastian Diakite from Mean Machines with 2 sacks. Interceptions leaders, there's a whole bunch of people with 1. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, we're just going to say the same names that were on there from last week, so I didn't have to change the script. But Sewan Eriksson from OBK, Joshua Hicks from Tyresö, Rodrigo Rocha from the Mean Machines. But defensively, I think we gotta talk about the man, the myth, the legend, William Saul first, right? Like, you have to go and talk about him. And actually, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead. Antoine, what are you gonna say about this guy?
Yeah, man, this guy is everywhere on that field. They're gonna if they need something, he gonna get it done. He injured, he's a goddamn unit. He injured his own player.
He injured 2 players. That's what's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna talk about it. Let me talk about it because I think I know people saw
about the stretcher out with this guy.
In one play, I watched the entire play, and as the play was going, I was like, "What is going on?" You see William Saul at running back. He cut blocks a defender into his left tackle, so he takes out his own man and he cuts blocks him. Then he gets up, starts running, looks at the quarterback, catches a pass, dives in the end zone, and takes out the defensive guy and his own receiver, take both their legs out, and they end up having to get the stretcher for the receiver because, he's a little weaker than the lineman. But I saw he took out 2 of his own players and 2 players from the other team. That's a wash. But he scored a touchdown, so I guess it's +6. That man, he out here to do bodily harm, and he don't care who it is. You in the way of number 1, you better get out the way. No matter what jersey color you got on.
He kamikaze, man. That should be a penalty. I'm taking out people like that.
Yeah, but he's everywhere. He makes plays on both sides of the ball. I just say he's the tackle leader for this season. 15 tackles in 2 games. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, since we're talking about defense, I'm not going to mention the great things he did on offense. One thing I was impressed was he was playing linebacker, went from DN to linebacker, and he covered Johannes across the middle of the field and got a PBU. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's a dog. Because you guys, I didn't watch any of the games. I was busy. I forgot to mention in the first and 10, we had a cookout this weekend with my team, so we had a good time. So I didn't get a chance to watch the games, but you guys said like, oh yeah, Will, he's the MVP. I'm like, man, they lost the game. Like, how you gonna be MVP? But then when I watched the game, I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Okay, again, if you're a young player, don't take what I'm saying to heart. But if you know football, Will Saul after this game, he gotta be like, they lost.
Yeah.
Will Saul and the Oslo Vikings. The Oslo Vikings might have lost, but Will Saul didn't lose nothing.
Yeah.
You did everything you could do for a team. And defensively, his versatility really showed in this game. Like you said, he played linebacker and defensive end. From the linebacker position, he was able to get 15, 20 yards deep across the middle and break up passes. He had 2 PBUs in this game. He forced a fumble. And the crazy thing is the fumble, it should have been recovered by his own team, but no one was around him but him. And he was trying to strip the ball a lot of times. And he was just giving that tackle the business when he decided to play defensive end. And and if you don't believe me, ask Trevor Vasey. He'll tell you what happened. Every time number 1 was the defensive end, Vasey was moving because he was in that dude's face and they couldn't block this guy. Again, I think it's crazy that they are able to play him in multiple positions because I'm sorry. If you put him at defensive end, he's going to ruin everybody's game plan. And that's where I think he's the most effective. But also understand for this team, they needed him at linebacker so he could do that pass coverage that no one else could do in that position. And then with him trying to rip the ball out and making tackles, it's a lot to ask from one player. Fortunately, he's the one that can do it because anybody else, that's a lot to put on one guy. But Will Saul he's that guy. I guess we should probably stop gushing over him so much.
Yeah.
Anyone else kind of stand out defensively for you guys?
Matthias Eriksson on Carlstad.
I'm glad we're on the same page. That's all I'm saying. Because you were saying names that I'm thinking. Go ahead.
Matthias, no, go ahead.
The reigning league MVP. He definitely made his presence felt out there. Yeah, man. Anytime you can get 9 tackles in the game, you're doing something right. So he was flying to the ball. He was making solid tackles, making hits and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Defensively wise, this year for all the teams, like I knew we'd pick Carlstad to win and kind of beat up on Crusaders, but for the first half of that game, even though the score was 21-6 going into halftime, it still didn't feel as bad as what the score was saying. You know what I mean? So it gives all these new teams hopes that it's like it's a lot more level than you think. The only difference is the established Super Series teams, they're not going to make as many costly mistakes as these new teams are. And then it's not going to feel as big to them as it would the new Super Series teams because the momentum will shift very easily to one side. And then that's the difference maker, I think, in a lot of these games.
I agree with you. I'm just gonna pile on to that. I think that when you're looking at some of these like Super Serien like originals, I guess, or Super Serien OG teams versus these newcomers, it is very similar to the old school like D1 versus D1 AA. First quarter and a half, you're like, okay, they can play with them. Okay, they're about it. Especially for the newcomers, because they come up with so much energy. They have all this like enthusiasm. Like when I watched the Griffins play against Mean Machines, I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong, but them Griffins, they was real chippy out there. There was a whole bunch of little extra here and there. And I'm like, hold on, guys, y'all are going to lose this game. They still in their first quarter, second quarter, they were still kind of, real chippy, like, hey, we deserve to be here. Same thing with K-Town Predators is in the first beginning of the game, like they physically were even with Carlstad. Mm-hmm. As the game goes on, I think that talent has been winning. Yeah. I don't think that we're seeing a lot of teams that are better coached or have better scheming. I think we're seeing talent eventually wins out when you just don't have enough talent. Same thing with Oslo Vikings. We've seen them in their 2 games. They were winning. They were up 19-18 at the half. And you're like, what happened in the second half? Well, one thing, number one, couldn't keep playing offense. He had to start doing more on defense. And now you have to do something else offensively. You don't have anybody. You don't have the star power. You don't have the talent to beat them for 4 quarters. I think that's what's really happening is that we're seeing some of these teams, as good as they are, they're not going to be able to physically match up with these teams for 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Hot take on Carlstad Crusaders. I wasn't impressed.
I didn't want to say, but they looked a step slower than from this year than last year. They looked a step slower.
From what I saw from Carlstad Crusaders, they can't beat Tyresö or Mean Machines.
Probably not even at a brew.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah, I didn't want to say it, but you said it. So.
It's going to be a good game, but this kind of goes to what I said in the preview episode where I was just like, we were good last year, but it was all matchup dependent, and I think depending on who they face this year, it's going to be very matchup dependent. They could look really good one week, and then they could look not so. They could look like one of the new teams in the Super Series. So. It just all depends.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they dominated that game, which we expected them to do, but it didn't look like.
I don't think they dominated. I feel like you gotta look at that first half and be like, they were winning, but they had a lot of big plays. Young Kennedy had 2 long runs where I don't care what you say. Watch it again. This dude is jogging through the defense.
Oh, most definitely.
And they're missing tackles. They can't tackle him, and he's going like this.
I was going to mention the same thing. The Predators, they need to do something with their defensive practice because their angles and just the energy of like wanting to make tackles is night and day. Like they need to pull up some tape on Matthias Eriksson and just watch him, you know what I mean? And just watch him, because they're especially, I'm just going to call him out. Number 10, I believe. I think he may have had a ponytail as safety. His angles, it was just like a little kid playing football. That angle is poor. I know they're not practicing angle drills or their coach is like, yup, I say this to you all the time. I can just hear that. But I don't want to get too much off topic because I want to give some shout outs to the other defensive players, That I was
going to say, we can go down a rabbit hole talking about that one game, Carlstad versus the Predators. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But, any other defensive guys that you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, I do. Number 9, Nielsen from Örebro. That guy can ball. And he need to get that pick, man. That's going, bro. Get that pick.
Oh, pick 6. He had it.
That guy's an athlete. And one thing I like, we talked about Will being a kamikaze. I don't know what the penalty was, but he sacked the quarterback, and by pushing the guy, you know what I mean, just with one arm. I was like, bro, this guy can ball 2 weeks in a row. He impressed me. I'm not gonna forget his name. I think it's Sebastian Nielsen.
Sebastian Nielsen. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I've been talking about him since day one, right? Because I remember I said that big number 9. That's all I know. I loved his play on that interception that he should have had, and Sebastian, you should have had it. It was a screen pass, and he's a big guy. He's rushing the quarterback. He felt the screen, gets right back into it, and goes for the interception. That's just really high IQ, and it's really good to see like someone of his stature display that IQ. And like you said on those sacks. I was writing my notes after the game, and I'm like, he had 2 sacks, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. One of them got taken aback. But like you said, one time he just pushes the left tackle into the quarterback, and then another time he gets a diving tackle. Like he runs up and just dives and gets the sack. I guess one of them counted, one of them didn't. I don't care about penalties and all that, but he dominated that line. He's still gonna be one of my favorite players until he decides he's done with this game.
I was very impressed with the way he played. Like 2 weeks in a row, he did well. And you see the difference between him playing against Stockholm Mean Machines versus like him playing against this team. It was like, whoa, he stood out even more. So it lets you know that Stockholm is a pretty good offensive team. But one more guy I want to mention, he didn't do super great, but he stood out to me for Limhamn, number 53. Don't know his name, but he got a block punt for a touchdown. But I like the way that he also played on defense too, So if you make some more plays, I'm going to know your name, young man.
So you just call him number 53? That's what you're calling him?
They got to look. that we already didn't know all the people names going into this. They got to earn their names being told. Pick more plays. I know your name.
Okay. Well, I think that's our stat leaders. We had X Factors on here, but we kind of already talked about all three of the X Factor guys. Double V from Tyresö with 209 all-purpose yards. That was his week 1 performance, still one of the top in the league. Casper Wedberg from Stockholm Mean Machines, 270 all-purpose yards. We already discussed him. And last, we had William Saul from Oslo Vikings, and I think we talked about him enough. But he did have 130 all-purpose yards in this game.
Makes sense.
So at 15 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, 2 PBUs, just throwing the stats out there. So that is our Inside the Numbers stats presented by Rare Athletics. Let's get on to this week's games. All right. Quick shout out to our partners at Rare Athletics. Apparel and accessories made for players, by players. More than just accessories, Rare provides custom jerseys for teams all over Europe. So head over to the web shop at rare.se and upgrade your drip today. Super Seriens, back at it this week. This is week 3. Three.
Yep.
The games we have is AIK. AIK, what does that stand for? I don't know. I know it's a soccer team, but it confuses me when I say football because there's no city, there's no team name, there's no mascot. It's just AIK letters. Sorry, I just had to say that. It always confuses me. But AIK versus K-Town Predators. The Limhamn Griffins take on OBK. Tyresö Royal Crowns take on Carlstad Crusaders. So those are the 3 matchups. And if you want to get like a detailed preview of the games, head over to firstdownmag.com and read my in-depth analysis. Matter of fact, sign up for the website and get those previews as soon as they're published. And for the podcast purposes, we're just going to discuss matchups within those matchups. I'm not even sure if I'm going to write those previews this week, but they will be out there Friday. So when this comes out, they'll be out. So let's get into the matchups real quick. All right, first matchup, AIK versus K-Town Predators. Juice, I'm going to let you go with this one. What's a matchup within this game that you're looking forward to seeing?
If you Icor and you saw what Predators put on film, I would just be attacking all of that,
All of it, everything.
All of it, So to be honest, I can't even give too much feedback for the Predators because I was not very impressed. As I said before before we talked about week 1 and things like this, I said the South, they got really good talent. A matchup. You know what? Actually, I can say this. Number 2, the receiver, he had a hot first drive. They was getting the ball to this guy. He was a playmaker. Their receiver. So, all right, cool. Can you guys stop him?
Who was the receiver that dropped the pass for the Predators? It was like a touchdown pass, and he dropped it going across the middle.
I seen a few key plays dropped, but sticking to this, Icor, if you guys can stop number 2, take him out of the game, like this is your key to victory right here. Because that's the only person I was extremely thinking that, okay, circle this guy.
I think his name is Benjamin Jernquist. Call him Big Ben. No, wrong team. No, wrong team. Hold up. Number 2. Jacob Stenberg. Yeah, that makes more sense. Jacob Stenberg. I'm looking at the wrong stats. Sorry, guys.
And no disrespect to Carlstad because they was able to move the ball. You know what I mean? They were able to move the ball, but it just their defense, man, that defense scares me.
Swiss cheese defense. There's holes all over the place. But yeah, I would agree.
What about your matchup? Is that give me a specific one, Antoine, if you could.
I don't really have a specific one because these 2 teams are very familiar with each other. Like they played each other before. I think Carlstad beat AIK last year. So AIK, you have the upper hand. You haven't played. You should be well rested. You have film. You should know who you need to stop. You should know what you got to do. It's just now you got to get out there and just play the game. I think these are the two prior Division 1 teams. This is their first matchup going against each other. So Carlstad coming off a loss. This is now is your chance to prove that, all right, we can compete in this league and we're gonna go out there and get this win. And for AIK, it's just like you have the upper hand. You know what I mean? So put your best foot forward, go out there and just win the game. I know it's the Super Series. I know it's supposed to feel bigger and feel grander, but like keep it simple, keep it small. Play for play. Just win and do your jobs.
I know it's tough to say, anything positive about the Predators after the first game they played, but I do feel like kind of what Jallo said about the number 2 receiver and also the quarterback and their passing game in general. It was successful early in the game. A lot of that had to do with the fact that Carlstad was playing very conservative. They weren't really pressuring them, so they were able to do things. A lot of Jacob Stenberg, is that his name? A lot of his catches literally were just jump balls. They weren't it wasn't like he was throwing the ball. They were running seam routes, and he would turn around, quarterback would throw the ball up. He's tall as I don't know, and just jump up, and he'd kind of rebound it, catch the ball, and that's it. That's pretty much what he did. And they kind of went away from that as the game went on because they started getting pressure. Quarterback wasn't able to give them the same type of balls, didn't have the time. But I think AIK won't have that type of defense. And this is all speculation because, like you said, we haven't seen AIK play. But I do think that they're going to have the matchup of this game is going to be, can AIK force that offense into something it's not comfortable doing? So I'm going to look at the quarterback and his receiving core from the Predators. What's the quarterback's name? Myron North?
Myron Norfleet. Yeah, Myron Norfleet.
Myron Norfleet. If him and his receiving core can be successful, it puts AIK on the heels. But if they can't be successful, what are they going to do? They don't really have anything else in the bag. Like if they can't pass it and get those deep plays and get those shots, they're going to be out of it. You saw it in the last game. The only reason they lost the game was eventually they needed big plays. They got them. Now, against AIK, you're going to expect some big plays because the level of competition shouldn't be as good as the Carlstad Crusaders.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be, but who knows? Again, I'm not going to just say I know how good AIK is going to be. But that's the matchup that I'm looking forward is for the Predators' offense versus AIK's defense and how they're going to hold up against each other. Next game we got on tap is the Limhamn Griffins versus OBK. Antoine, lead this one off. What's a matchup in this game that you are looking forward to?
I just want to see if somebody could get pressure on Trevor Vasey and make it throwing a little bit uncomfortable. If you're the Limhamn Griffins, if you're any team in the Super Series looking at Utter Brew, the one thing they're going to do is throw the ball. They're trying to get the ball, and he's going to spread the ball around to now 2 different receivers who you don't necessarily know, but you should know now going into or from this point going on into the season. You should know Anton and Elliott, and you should know that Trevor is going to try to get them the ball on those underneath routes. And then if he can't get them, he has Johannes Lindias over top that's probably cooking up one of your DBs back there and it's open somewhere in the field. So it's all about if they can get pressure on Vasey and not necessarily take away the passing game because whether he's hitting on his passes or not, he's going to throw the ball probably 40 times. So they're going to keep their passing game very highly involved. So just get pressure on him and make it uncomfortable for him to be able to make those plays and beat you in the passing game.
What about you, Juice?
Yeah. What I learned a little bit from Limhamn, if you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, I did watch the whole game, but I did not see a lot of explosive pass plays from Stockholm in this game. Maybe because Stockholm didn't have much field to drive down the field. But if I can go off that, if I'm looking at my stats and I'm being statistical as Limhamn Griffin, I would do exactly what you said. I would put pressure on Vasey and see what he can do under pressure. I would send more, I don't think he's been fully tested that way because the first week Stockholm played him. They only just sent 4 people, Yeah. This next week, they got a dog, 1 player on their defense, and he was getting the job done. I was slightly impressed with number 7, the cornerback that they had for Limhamn Griffin. So I think that if you got another dog at cornerback, that didn't stand out to me. I'll put pressure on them and play a little bit of man coverage. And I think this is a matchup where we're going to learn a lot from Limhamn because there's some holes with Örebro. Örebro is definitely the better team in my opinion, but we're going to see a lot of if they can compete with them in this game, and we'll learn probably where they will end up at the end of the season based off this game. So a key matchup that I would like to see is they can put the pressure on Vasey, and if their skilled players could dominate to help them win this football game.
I agree with both you guys. I guess the key matchup is, Vasey versus their defense. But I would go opposite of what both of you guys are saying about pressuring him, because he's had 2 weeks of pressure. Even though Stockholm only sent 4, they were pressuring him with 4. And he still found ways to get 300-some yards passing. And even last week, he was pressured, and it wasn't always, from the same person. But when number 1 came in there, he enjoys the running around. We said it before. It looks like backyard football out there. It seems like that's kind of what he wants to do. That's kind of what makes them successful. That's how they have so many yards. The Griffins, their DBs can't hold up for that long. They're not going to be able to guard these receivers. But what we saw against them when they played against Stockholm Mean Machine ran all over them. Like we said, they went 3 deep at the running back position. And as bad as that sounds, we don't know if Orebro can run.
I was going to say, I was not impressed at all with that import. He had an X on that. I don't know if he's just living out there and they just an X, or they brought in the import, but I'm going to be completely honest. Don't know who you are, but I was not impressed at all with his run game at all.
I didn't know that. I thought number 20 was – I thought Eklund was their running back.
Well, my bad. Excuse me. That guy, the Swedish last name, I think it was Eklund. Something.
Yeah, Eklund. Yeah, number 20.
I mean, I was impressed with him, but they put the other guy in.
Oh, I didn't.
From because I think he scored a touchdown, actually, Eklund. He scored the first one. After that, I didn't see him in the game.
Okay. Well, we don't know much about Orebro being able to run. And I would say if I was the Griffins, the best way is to actually don't give him a lot of pressure to Vasey. Force him to make those on-time throws. Flood the zones. Make him make accurate throws. Make him beat you nickel and diming down the field over big plays at a time.
I disagree with this. He's going to make those passes.
You can disagree.
He's making those passes.
You can disagree.
Because he got options out there. He can throw the ball.
He can throw the ball. Yeah. Let me shoot my shot, guys. Let me shoot my shot.
You're missing that shot.
Let him nickel and dime you. I'm cool with that, but don't put him in a position where he starts to run around. Make him catch it and throw it. That's fine. What's going to happen is if he's catching and throwing, they get confident. They start to run the ball. That's when you make your plays. You got to get them to turn over the ball in the run game. As you saw against the Mean Machines, maybe the Griffins aren't great at stopping the run. Maybe OBK starts running the ball early, has success, and they get this false sense of, okay, we can run the ball. What that does, it limits the amount of passes they throw. Limited amount of passes they throw means that if they pass it and they have to get a lot of yards and they don't have a lot of time, you're able to limit how successful they can be. And all you got to do is have the right defense at the right time. I'm saying don't let him throw it 40 times. Let him throw it 20, 25. Let them run it 20 times instead of letting them run it 10 times, because that's going to keep you in the game longer and give you an opportunity that they will mess up eventually.
How can you
let him throw it for 40 times? He's eventually going to get 300 yards like he always does.
How can you make them
Look at what the Mean Machines did. Look at how the Mean Machines played them. The Mean Machines are a very balanced offense, but they were having success in the run game, so they kept running the ball.
How can Limhamn make Orebro want to run the ball?
Like play like they did against the Mean Machines. If someone runs the ball against you and gets a lot of yards, it physically makes more sense to run it again than to try to pass it where you have to rely on a throw, a catch, and the defense. Running the ball and knowing that you can get 7 or 8 yards is always a better play. That's any offensive coordinator's dream. I can run the ball and I can throw it when I want to. So
they have to put 3-3. They should line up in a 3-3.
I think they should play the regular defense. I don't think they could stop the run if they tried, but they have more chances at creating turnovers in the run game than they do in the pass game, because he's going to pick them apart in the secondary. But a running back running with the ball, there's a chance you can get that out of there somehow. There's a chance you can rip it out. You can hit them in the right spot. Gang tackling, a lot of things go awry. But when they start passing, he's going to get a whole bunch of yards, and then you're going to put your offense in a position that they need to score a lot to catch up. And I'm saying the only way that they could possibly upset them is to do that. I'm not saying they can actually do it. I'm just saying that's their best bet because if they let him throw 40 times, it's just going to be another day.
Yeah, I'm looking at these numbers for Limhamn's offense. I'm not even confident in the offense to put points up on the board. They had 100 yards of total offense. They had 70 passing yards and 30 rushing yards. And they were 1 for 10 on third down conversions. Are we even confident that they can put points up on the board?
I'm only talking about one matchup.
I should have brought that up for my matchup. I'm not even confident that even if the defense does what they have to do, I'm not confident that the offense could then turn around and put points on the board.
I only can talk about so many matchups. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt or something. So I guess let's move to the next game. All right. Another good game is the last game. I think the first game is going to be good. Second game is going to be a blowout. This game is going to be good. Tyresö versus Crusaders. What's a matchup you want to see?
I just want to see the game. I think this is going to be the game of the week. To be honest, I can't even tell you what matchups I want to see because I already know I want to see the receivers. I say this every week. Tyresö receivers are dominate. Let's see if Tyresö DBs can do their part in stopping. I would say that Carlstad is a balanced offense as well right now, but it's kind of hard to say how great Carlstad is because the Predators was their first matchup.
They won't be able to run like that against the Tyresö. Like you can't jog through the defense and get 40-yard runs. Like that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen in this game.
I got to take a moment. Are you calling my man slow, or you say he was jogging?
I'm saying he was jogging. I'm not saying he was slow. But I'm saying like he was jogging. Like he wasn't sprinting. He was running. He thought he was going to get tackled and then didn't get tackled. And he was like, "Oh my God, these dudes can't."
I need you to clip this right now and make it real. Young Kennedy, were you jogging on the field, or was the Predators not a challenge for you at all? Because I think he's from the Predators. If I'm real, I think he's from that team. You know, that was his original team. He went to Rig Academy, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's from the South because I've seen him down in Helsingborg. But anyways, though,
I know he can't jog in this game. Like Tyresö's not going to go for that.
Key matchups. I want to see the game. That's all I want to say.
I'm gonna agree with Jallo. Yeah, I just want to watch the game. This is gonna tell me where Carlstad is gonna finish or where they're gonna be at the end of the year. Because we already know, we're already expecting or we're already speculating that Tyresö is the number 2 team. So let's see how you can compete against the top half of the league and going into week 3. I think they're gonna have a long day because now they're dealing with the receivers who you're not gonna be dealing with the receiver who's gonna drop an open pass. And you're gonna be dealing with receivers who are gonna be talking smack to your DBs if they burn you on the play. If they score a touchdown, these celebrations are gonna be crazy in your face. That's demoralizing to DBs. And if you're getting burnt and then you gotta go back up there and then you get burnt again, long day. Long day.
I'm gonna go the opposite way. And for me, I'm gonna say Tyresö's DBs gonna have a long day dealing with Carlstad receivers.
That's true.
That's true. Like Jallo said, what is it? Alden Forsman? Albin Forsman, Christian Naughton, William Van Kamponen. William, I'm just gonna call him William. I remember William. He's a Belgium guy. He played back in Mean Machines a couple years ago as well. And all 3 of those receivers, great receivers. Quarterback, what's the quarterback's name? Slade Jarman. I think now they have a week under their belt. It's going to be tough for Tyresö's DBs to really match up against them. It could be a shootout because I believe what you said too. On the other side, both DBs I think they're not as good as the receivers they're playing. Mm-hmm. So it could also come down to the coaching in this game. How you scheme against these offenses could really change how this game goes. But I'm okay with a shootout. I'd like a shootout. I'm expecting some Carlstad Crusaders gear to be, coming this way pretty soon. So I'll keep riding for y'all. You feel me? Like, hey, it is what it is. Tyresö 135. I got the hoodie. I could use a shirt, a hat, or something, dark, whatever. Right now I think I'm gonna ride with Carlstad in this. I think that their offensive receivers, I think their receivers are underrated. I think people aren't talking about them enough. So I'm gonna talk about them. Albin Forsman, Christian Naughton, William the Belgium.
So you picking Carlstad to win?
I didn't
Well,
say
we
that.
gotta wait on that. We gotta wait on
Put me
that.
on the spot.
And the last thing I guess I will say after you speaking, one thing that I noticed in the game, I want to know if Jarman can actually pick, Tyresö's defense apart, because we already know Tyresö's strong point of defense is their box and their offense. Their offense is probably to be honest, I think it's probably the scariest offense, even more than Stockholm this year, just based on watching the first game, how they did. To be honest, I want to know if German has taken a step down from his talent in the ELF. I want him to answer that question for me, because if he can impress me against Tyresö's defense, even though Tyresö's defense isn't that impressive in the back end, that would be something key that I would like to see in this football game.
That's true.
Drip, grind, and stand out. That's the Improved Athletes way. Improved Athletes, a European sports brand based in Milano. If you want to look good and be successful in athletics, go and head over to improveathletes.com to stand out with your new drip.
All right, so picking winners of football games is not easy, but we're going to put our picks out there anyways. Brought to you by our partners at Improve Athletes, Grind, Drip, and Stand Out. Our picks will be available on Instagram at Pro Football Sweden, where you can make your comments. No need to flood the DMs, guys. Just keep the comments on the line. First game, tell me your pick and why. AIK versus K-Town Predators. Antoine, who you got and why?
Yeah, okay. I don't know. They got AIK got a little bit better at the quarterback position. They usually have decent DBs, better than most of the teams that are coming up from Division One. And then you add Josh Akina at linebacker. They added some good pieces, and I think it's going to be a difference maker to help them beat Carlstad.
Mason, who's this special quarterback they got?
Victor. I forget his last name. But he played.
Big
Vic. Big Vic. He played in Arlanda. He played on the national team. Yeah, they added him. So
yeah, I know. I respect Victor a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my part. I would say this though, in case I do take an L, I might be taking an L in this matchup. The reason why I'm not going with Core is because they do not have imports on their team, while Carlstad has imports. You looking at me like I'm crazy. Did they get some imports? They got something that I need to know?
For this team, for them going against Carlstad, I don't think they need imports to beat them.
Agreed.
I think they do. But the second thing, I'm just going based off of, I don't know much about Core in this level. I don't know if they taking this fully serious. When you decide to just get no imports for the whole season, not just for this matchup, you can get them in the weeks in the forward. I just think you need to have imports on your team to help you win a game, unless you say that I'm the best team in the whole country and we don't need it. And I don't see them as that type of program.
I've never seen that work, to just have not a team full of non-imports and win. Like,
you know what I mean? I look at to be honest, when I remember my first year in Carlstad, that was the only time I felt like they didn't need us at all. Of course they did need us to probably win, the championship game, but we even played against international matchups except for Helsinki Roosters. It was like, bro, they didn't need us. They could have done this without us. They just got us just as a safety net. And I look at the Roosters, when I played against them a few years ago, they barely had imports on the team and they still was smacking us. So it's possible, but the whole point I'm saying is that Core is not that team.
Okay. All right. They're not that team. I am picking AIK over K-Town, and purely from the fact that what I saw from the Predators wasn't good enough. I don't know what AIK got going, but it got to be better than what I saw. That's all I know. It got to be better than what I saw. And if it ain't, oh well, I take an L. But I just have to believe that they saw that game like I saw that game and started licking their lips over there and was like, hey, I'm about to get this one. Start off 1-0. Because I didn't see a team from the Predators, in my opinion. I didn't see a team that can compete every week for 4 quarters. Saw a team that got a couple good punches in early because the game was new for everybody, But now that the film is out on them, you won't have that like surprise effect on anybody. And once you got settled into the game, they just weren't that good, in my opinion.
Are the Predators on the road again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, for sure then.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's another reason why I was thinking like maybe I'll take an L because they got to travel all the way up to Stockholm.
Yeah, it's another long.
iCore got film on them, But on the positive side of things is that I look at some of these games. If you didn't do a preseason game, like this was your first matchup, you got to test. I don't know if iCore had like a preseason game because you kind of need to get adjusted to the field and be like, you know what, okay, we can make adjustments because they do the same things. Like, okay, we did bad at this, let's fix this. Let me take number 10 out of the game as safety so I can put somebody else in who can make tackles. You can send me a DM, baby. I'm kidding. Y'all score ya, but I score ya.
All right, next game, Limhamn Griffins versus OBK. Juice, you can take this one first. Who you got and why?
I'm going with Örebro Black Knights. Simply speaking, Örebro offense is powerful, and I don't think that Limhamn is going to be able to keep up with their offense, mainly because of they're not going to do what we say and put pressure on Trevor. But I do think that Limhamn will put up points in this game. I do. I was hoping that they would surprise Stockholm a lot more. I mean, they surprised them. They scored first. You know what I mean? That was a positive sign, but can you keep that going? You mean you're right there to do that. So I'm going with Örebro. But before I say that, do you guys know where this game is going to be played? It's going to be at Bern Arena again, or
yeah.
Örebro is taking this.
No. It's in Malmö.
What?
Okay.
No,
it's in Malmö. I'm looking at it right now.
I've already.
Either way,
don't believe.
Either way, my pick. I'm picking Örebro to take this dub.
Oh, it is in Malmö. Oh yeah, it is in Malmö. You're right. I'm sorry. OBK for the win, though. Okay, you got me. All right, Antoine, what's your pick and why?
Yeah, I've never bet against OBK again, except unless they're going to. I tried it last week with Oslo, and Oslo let me down, so I'm not doing it again 2 weeks in a row. I got Örebro. Kind of what Joe said. I don't think their defense gets enough pressure on Vasey this week, and I think he has another big week, and this kind of builds them a little bit of momentum going into. I don't think they should be looking ahead to week 4, but like be looking ahead to week 4 because I don't think this is a team that's gonna get it done against you.
I agree with you guys. I'm gonna go OBK. I feel like they're gonna put up another 30+ points. Vasey gonna have another 300 yards. I can never remember my guys' names, so let me go look back at the notes so I can get their names out here. What's the receivers' names? What's the receiver?
Anton and Elliott.
Anton and Elliott. I believe they're gonna show out as they always do. Maybe even Johannes shows up. Who knows?
Johannes, hey, don't disrespect my boy.
I'm not disrespecting. I'm saying that he doesn't get a lot of targets, but I think that's because of the way the offense is built. He gets a lot of coverage.
I'm blaming Trevor. He was open. I'm blaming Trevor.
If he opened, what if Trevor is running around when he opened? He's like, I can't make that throw.
At this point, Trevor got the biggest arm.
Yeah,
and this guy.
Week 1, he threw it from the sideline to the opposite hash on like a 40-yarder, and no one said anything about that.
This is the thing, though. It's not that he's underthrowing him; he's overthrowing him, bro. That's not the problem. Bro, let my boy Johannes climb the ladder.
But yeah, I don't think the Griffins have. I don't think they have nothing for them. Like I don't see any actual way they can actually beat them. Like there's no matchup that I think that they have a chance to really dig into them or slow them down. All across the board, it's going to be a slaughter fest. I mean, if OBK plays it right, it's going to be a slaughter fest. That's how I feel about it. Last game, we got Tyresö Royal Crowns versus Carlstad Crusaders. This is the one.
This
Antoine,
the game of the week.
Yeah, Antoine, let us know who you got and why.
I think it's gonna be a shootout for probably like the first 2.5 quarters, and then I think Tyresö is just gonna at the end that talent is just gonna outweigh what Carlstad has. So I do think Tyresö wins. I think they win by a couple scores, but I think it's competitive in the first 2 quarters. But I think ultimately Tyresö is going to pull it out by a couple scores for sure.
Give us the score while you're thinking about it.
It might be similar to their Oslo game. It might be 37-56. It might be that high. Yeah, I think it might be 37-56 again. And
what about you, Juice?
I think it sounds like this game should be a shootout, but I'm going to think that this game is not going to be a shootout. Now that they both got each other on film, I do think that Carlstad is going to make the right adjustments to make it a bit challenging for Tyresö. But I would just throw it out there. Tyresö is going to win this game. For Lord Carlstad, you got still my first love. Just don't take it personal. Still come back and give me a kebab. You guys got the best kebabs in all of Sweden. Maybe Young Shepman, maybe competing with you guys. But Tyresö is going to win this game. And I would say the reason why is, as we said earlier, Carlstad, to me, dominated the game. But it just didn't look like they were dominating against another football team that should be there. It looked like they was dominating, like, let's keep it a buck. They was dominating a lower league football team. You know, you were supposed to do that.
Yeah, because they was jogging for touchdowns.
Sure. So, and I don't think I can put a score to this game. I think that if it comes down to it, since, you know, Tyresö is not kicking field goals, so I can't even put those type of numbers in there. They go for 2-point conversions. Let's say they get a few. Let's 30. They get in the 30s, and I think Carlstad is going to have less than 30 points. Tyresö over 30, Carlstad under 30 points.
Well, I'm just going to say this. 39-17, Tyresö, because Carlstad cornerbacks and defensive backs got nothing for them. I think it'll be a game that starts off slow. I think it won't be a lot of scoring to start it off. And as the game goes on, Tyresö finds out that, hey, if we get them to one-on-one with our receivers going to win. And once they start taking advantage of those, and once Jay decides, you know what, I'm going to put this thing out there, you find out that speed-wise they can't actually run with those receivers, hit them on goes, hit them on posts. I just think it's going to be too much. And then Carlstad's offense, I'm not convinced they can compete with Tyresö's offense. Their quarterback was a little erratic for me with his throws. And I think that's not going to work out for them against Tyresö's defense, where they're going to be pressuring him the whole time. If he can't throw going against, who did they play last week? The Predators defense, who I said is, you know, garbage. If he can't throw accurately against that team where people were open, he wasn't really pressured. And now you put him against Tyresö, where we named their whole defensive line. Each one of them could be the best defensive lineman in the league. They're going to be in your face all game. And again, lefty, that's always tough. Ball going to come out funny anyways. Yeah. Between that pressure and his inaccurate throws, he's not going to be able to get his receivers all the time. And a couple of times I'm looking at, you know, interceptions. Tyresö's, what's their import name? Number 84, the safety. He likes to jump routes and passes.
Josh Hicks.
Yeah. He might have a pick six in this game. He might not drop it. He might have a pick six in this game to add to their points. And then when they get on offense, they should be able to score at will against Carlstad. I just don't think it'll be close. I think it's gonna be a blowout for Tyresö. But I'm with Alpha, you know. Carlstad, y'all still one of my favorites. Just, you know, I don't think you got it this week. I don't think you got it.
After you spoke, you just brought a matchup that I think I should have mentioned. I want to know from what you guys think. Do you guys think that Tyresö will be able to run the ball against Carlstad defense effectively? Because Carlstad box is not bad at all. I mean, they're young at the D line, but linebacker wise, you know who's leading the pack, Matthias.
You have to look at their offense. If they load the box, you're gonna get those one-on-one matchups I was talking about. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna lighten that box so that you can help your DBs out. And once you lighten that box, Double V gonna give it to you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're going to see a lot more from him this week, because I think in his first week it was just kind of, you know, he hit the hole hard and then he found an opening. I think we're going to see how elusive he is, how shifty he is. I think he's the best young talent. He's probably going to win Rookie of the Year this year for the Super Series for
100%.
sure. I think we're going to see another element to his game this week for sure.
And just to add one last thing about the run versus pass, I think that it's going to be opposite of what we expect. They're not going to run the ball to set up the pass. They're going to pass the ball to set up the run.
Mm.
So they come out throwing, and Carlstad has to loosen that box. They have to change something up. And then you hit them with the run game. So statistically, it's going to look like, oh, they ran all over them, when really they set them up. Because they're going to throw it.
Is Tracy the DC again this year? Or I know he retired from coaching and then came back and played at one point. But, I mean, if he is or not, I don't think that it's going to be super easy to pass deep against the Crusaders. They've never been a team to pass super easy against, especially deep. Maybe quick game, you might can pull that off.
I'm not
They're definitely playing zone. They're definitely playing zone.
I know this much. If you throw it to number 11, Christian Nottonen, he going to go get it, whether it's short, deep, inside, outside, left, right, up, or down.
Oh, you love Finland, man.
No, hey. This ain't got nothing to do with Finland. I said Christian Nottonen. That's my guy. And I ride for my guy. But also, Alden Forsman, really, really good. And
number four.
Carlstad got some guys out there, man.
They do. I mean, we're going to see. This is a game of the week. I'm excited to see this matchup. This is a game that I'm going to be paying the most attention to. Then I will laugh at the Predators game.
That makes sense.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you interested in exciting sports of American football, flag football, or field hockey? Well, look no further, because Suite 3, the Swedish association for these sports, has got you covered. Suite 3 is not just about games. They're about building a community, players of all ages and backgrounds coming together, supporting each other, and having an absolute blast on the field. Suite 3 is proud to be an advocate for the Swedish sports movement, where integrity and sportsmanship reign supreme. So whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, come join Suite 3 and experience the magic of sports like never before. Visit the Suite 3 website and get in on the action today. Suite 3, where passion meets purpose.
All right, that's it for this episode of Pro Football in Sweden. Any last words before we get out of here, fellas?
No, like, share, subscribe. All that. Click all them buttons. Smash that shit.
Hey, good luck. Good luck to all the teams. Hey, more guys, if we're not calling your number, or if I'm calling your number, that's one step. But if I ain't saying your name, elevate. Go from that number to your name being called. I want to see guys, man. I want to see guys playing great. I want to see some pick six. Somebody give me that first pick six. Give me that first pick six.
And don't drop it. How about this? Because Sebastian Nilsson dropped one. Joshua Hicks dropped one. Every time it looks like someone's going to catch it and score, they drop it. So if you get that pick six, take to the house. I don't have nothing. I mean, this was fun. Don't take me too seriously if you're listening about what I said about being, a selfish football player. Leave that alone. Teams-wise, I think this weekend is going to be really good. As we get more into the season, we see more games for each teams. But I do like the Carlstad versus Tyresö game. I think there should be a lot of fan disputing going on. So if you do or don't like our picks and how we said the scores as well, please comment. Like and subscribe, all that stuff, like Antoine said. And good luck to all the teams this weekend. We'll be back next week with more insights and opinions. You can follow us on all social channels at Pro Football Sweden. And until next time, guys, we're out of here.